In this session, we will cover how to build a powerful AI content system that sells for you. And I'm here with Jackson Ju, who is the founder of the Brand Funnels, a design agency focused on direct response and conversion. And they work with international coaches, entrepreneurs, SaaS founders to launch their personal brand, products, and programs. And we spoke a little bit before the session started. So I know he has a lot of good stuff prepared for you here. So I'm going to bring it over to him to kind of introduce himself a little bit. So warm welcome, Jackson.
Right. So I'm not sure how I'm going to introduce myself, but yeah. So I think I met you like 5-7 years ago. But anyway, long story short, I used to run a funnel agency, and then after that I got into the software business to build something of my own, and then I exited that business for 8 figures, and then I went back into another software business, a white label, high level, and then from there onwards, I kind of like restarted my whole agency again because I still love the whole agency game. I like talking to clients, solving problems. But along the way, the whole transition is really from like before AI. So we had to do everything ourselves, brainstorming, writing the content, build a whole brand without AI. So, and when AI come, I thought like, hey, this is a good opportunity for me to publish more instead of like based on when I feel like it. Now I can do it in a more consistent way. So I developed my own system to really consistently churn out powerful content that brings me leads and clients. And yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about, content with AI.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are if people stick around until the end here, what are people going to walk away with? What can they expect if they stick around here
Yeah,
in the
so you're
session?
going to learn what I call a profit content machine. So basically a content that helps you make money, because we're going to talk about why virality is never what people like me look for. Although I do like followers, but at the same time, I like money more than followers. And I'm pretty sure I make more money than a lot of people with a lot of followers, but you may
Yeah.
want to cut that out. But yeah,
Yeah.
so this is what you're going to learn at the session.
Awesome. Yeah, let's kick this off. I have the slide up here, the Profit Content Machine Workshop. I mean, I introduced it here. It's kind of how to build this AI content system that sells for you. And I know you're really, really good at this stuff. You speak a lot on this topic and things like that. So yeah, let's kick it off here with this presentation, and I'll come in with some questions as we go.
Okay. Right. So yeah, let me just at the end of this workshop, we're gonna have a really clear roadmap of how to create at least 1 month's worth or 3 months worth of like what we call a pre-sold or profit content. So I'll show you the exact process to build that and how I build it using AI and removing all your internal objections, your external objections, and the only thing that will stop you is that you don't want to do it. That's all. So quick backstory is I used to be a mechanical engineer. So while people know me funnel designer, I started off as a mechanical engineer, but later on pivoted into the whole internet marketing industry. So, and I mentioned just now that I exited my software business because it was too much stress, and I just became a father. So, and decided to restart the agency business. And the funny thing is, like, I used to build my profile, my brand on Facebook. And when I quit my software business and come back into like the online world again, I decided to experiment on a brand new platform, so LinkedIn, because I want to prove to myself that my same method can be used anywhere, regardless of platform. So, and I went into LinkedIn with 0 followers, and within a week, within 2 to 3 weeks time, I hit 6 figure purely from like leads and clients from LinkedIn. So, and I charge easily 4 or 5 figures for each of my services. So yeah, and long story short, whatever worked for me before AI worked for me even better with AI, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. So and here's just a quick some photos of my whatever it is. Okay, and yeah, we'll manage to get like 5 million just views alone on LinkedIn within a year, and not to mention followers where we hit like 30. I'm at like 35,000 followers all within a year. So to sum it up, I'm your guru at least for the whole profit content thing with AI. So how we're gonna do this? I'm gonna walk through a little bit of backstory about like most people's like the challenges in terms of like the traffic and why content. So then we're gonna walk you through my 3-step process of like how this whole profit content machine works. So why do you want to create content and why you should create content? So long story short, for whatever funnel, whatever product, whatever service that you want to sell online, there's only two ways you can get clients. One is inbound, one is outbound. So outbound basically means that you chase after clients, but inbound is my favorite way, which is people actually come to you. So imagine outbound, which you're doing like cold outreach, cold DM, cold email. So does it work? I would say yes. Good. I think it's just up to your preference, right? So, but inbound is basically just attract, and this is what I love most because instead of convincing, people are already pre-sold on wanting to work with you. So instead of competing on price, now they come to you. They know that you can solve their problem. They are okay to pay within their budget, and they're okay to negotiate with you. So now you are not just chasing after them. Now they are chasing after you and ask you how I can work with you. So there's no right or wrong. Personally, I'm just a lazy person. I don't like to chase after people. I like people to chase after me. So especially going through like some of my background story. So two ways to drive traffic, right? In a crowded marketplace, we'll say fitting in is failing. So in a busy marketplace, like you literally need to stand out. So and you either pay or you don't pay. So if you do have the money to pay for traffic, that means like Google ads, Facebook ads, and all those kind of things. Or you can do it with organic traffic, which means you don't pay, but you pay with time. So I've done both. So I think I'm pretty qualified to explain the pros and cons. And I've done like 7, 8 figures with both separately. So for paid traffic, you pay with money. And a misconception is like you're paying money for ads you presumably you want to solve all the problem and then you want to buy back time, which is why you run ads for the faster result. The problem is what the other paid ads guru don't tell you when you're starting is that there are 100 or maybe thousands different variables in running paid ads to acquire clients. So your headline, your offer, your landing page, your targeting, your budget, your creatives, with or without AI is the same. Like there's a lot of nuances that you have to tweak and you have to tweak until you actually hit profitable ROI or ROAS ads. Whereas with organic traffic, you literally just spend some time. And then the good thing is it compounds. So, but before AI, we used to have to like do everything ourselves, and it really consumes a lot of time. So, and I say this from experience. But with AI, we can what we call a batch produce, and that's literally how you can save time, create good content that compounds and leverage the platform and your brand, and essentially, is the effort just gets easier and easier as time goes. So, ideal versus reality in the whole make money online space. So in the ideal world, we want to convert everybody. So wouldn't it be perfect if we can just have a singular machine, what would they call the one funnel away, and then you can run traffic to it, and then it just converts 100% of the visitors into your buyers. That's what we all want. That's what a lot of people presumably assume that they can achieve it. But sorry to break it to you, but that's never going to happen because in reality, only 2 to 3% is going to buy at any one time, regardless of what kind of mechanism, what kind of funnel that you are using. And the rest of the 97% is essentially they could be on the research mode. They could be they might not be not ready. They don't even know they have a problem. So and if you just leave your whole funnel and process at that, that means you are missing out a lot of money because people don't buy linearly. They buy through different chaotic process, multiple different researchers, and they have their life. So, and we're in the trust recession. So skepticism is what we call at an all-time high. So attention is now a commodity. So which also means that it's much more expensive to get their attention now compared to before, especially with AI. So information, everything is easily accessible. Your prospects are also way more sophisticated than before. Now they have more options. They are doing research for everything that they want to buy. They do not trust you, which is why they are losing. You actually losing money by forcing your prospect through a long sales funnel, or like we call the traditional sales funnel process. And if you're here, think back on every like coach or service provider that you have hired for a pretty much like high ticket, like 5,000, 10,000 above. You probably don't choose someone based on a random social media post. You did your research and your prospects are no different. So this is something I got from Sabri Subi, which is what he called the pyramid of readiness. And I think this is a very relevant concept that everyone should learn, which is like 3% people is ready to buy now, but the rest of the people are not. Like 17% are probably still in the information gathering mode. 20% of the people are problem aware, and the rest of them might not even know they have a problem. So it's content is the part of the process to build this loop, to build this awareness, and really just keep educating them and nurturing them so that whenever they are ready, they come back to you. For those people who aren't ready to buy when they first meet you. So most common content challenges, especially when we talk about content, is that people try to go viral or they try like clickbait for engagement or they chase after vanity metrics. And personally, like me, what used to be my problem is that I don't know what to write. I didn't know how to write. So I always start with a blank sheet of paper and then I'll just sit there for like 30 minutes. So never a good thing. And why we say like virality or followers won't help you make a lot of money is because like there's a case study where there's a famous influencers with millions of followers, and when she decided to monetize her attention and actually launch a clothing brand, she sold less than 100 t-shirts. So and I think that's a big reality check for anyone who's looking to make money online. Is that followers usually don't really mean much, especially nowadays. You can dance or you can show a lot of skin, and get a lot of followers, but these people won't pay you money most of the time. So, quick recap: virality doesn't close to money, and yeah. So, algorithm right now, in terms of platform, we want to understand like what makes a content good and what makes a content go viral, or like, and honestly, it's more like your dwell time, like how people interact and engage with your content. How long does people stay or read or click on your content is something that the algorithm uses to determine whether your content is good or not. So yeah, now we go into still a little bit of we're almost ending with the whole knowledge part, which is good feel versus bad feel. So I call it feel because essentially funnel or your conversion mechanism, it is like a vehicle. I call it a vehicle, and your vehicle, your machine won't run without fuel. So traffic is like the fuel. So you can put it good traffic or bad traffic. I mean, good fuel or bad fuel. But as long as there's fuel, things will go. Then it just depends on whether you go faster or slower. So traffic is one of the easiest, most accessible thing when it comes to online business. And the reason why is because like you can literally just go knock on doors and you get attention and you might get people's interest to buy. So this is more like cold outreach, cold call, all of this. So the problem is, who are you attracting? Are you spending the effort at the right place, or are you just like casting a wide net with no direction. Traditionally, content funnels, it goes from like something like this. So tofu, mofu, and bofu, top of the funnel, middle, and bottom. So, and the traditional way is like the top of the funnel is where we tell stories, we do broad lessons, and we dance. Then we filter people with our middle of funnel, which is expertise. And then the bottom is we address the problems to sell. The problem with this one is that it gives you a lot of followers in the top of the funnel, but not enough of your ICP, which are the ideal client profile. So then you are constantly chasing after the likes, the engagement from all these non buying profile, and you wonder why people don't buy. Why does your followers don't turn into money traffic? So this is my better way, which is what I call the DNA funnel discovery, where I share insights and perspective that actually positions me or you as the experts. So think of like the how-to content. Okay. Then we move into like the nurturing, which is like this is where we show some of our stories, our wins, lessons, the how I. Okay, because this gives you a bit more personality and really makes you you. Then is the action, which is the thing that actually pushes people to take action. And so this is how it looks like. So this whole funnel, this DNA funnel, isn't meant to grow you a lot of followers. You might go viral sometimes, but it's we just want to understand that it's not the intention of going viral, but the intention of really talking and nurturing and getting the right prospects to discover you and then nurture them. And then at the end of it, take action, buy from you. So here's just some of the examples of people just reaching out to me just because I am consistent with my content. So huge creators like Sam Brown and more. Now we talk about traffic. Now we talk about the traffic grade, the field grade. So traffic, there's different kind of traffic. Content, there's different kind of content. So in general, we can categorize them into short form, long form, or mid form. So short form is the most popular thing right now, which is the micro contents, short the tweets, the short videos. Those are all short form. Long form is the earliest form of content. So the blogs, articles, YouTube, and then the mid form is something that is like a carousel, and that's actually my favorite. But what should you be doing? It depends on the platform and what you are comfortable with. So, for example, Carousel only works with like LinkedIn and Instagram, but it doesn't really work on TikTok because TikTok is more of a video platform. So, yeah, the best content format as we speak, the first I would say is still long form YouTube because we're talking about like the content that can build your brand and really monetize and build depth is long form. Then carousel is the what we call the mid form, and then the rest of it like image or just pure text. The reels are just like easier to produce, but takes maybe longer time to see like to build that trust compared to a single good long form YouTube video. Now, whew, okay, let me grab my coffee. All right, so going to the step one, which is ideation. So the best ideas comes as jokes. So we want to make our thinking funny, if possible. If funny is your persona, Um, most of the time when we talk about content, we think about like we don't know what to write, we don't know what to create. Especially for a lot of people who are just starting. So that's the wrong question to ask because the right question would be why you want to write, why you want to create. So figure that out, then you'll know like what to talk about. So the why is really like governs who you are and what you do. So what is it that you do for who and why? So and I have this simple formula, which is nothing new. It's called the elevator pitch or power statement. So as long as you can define your service or what you want to sell, in a single sentence like this one, then that's your why. And you will know that everything of your content would probably lines up and point towards this thing. So if you do know what you do, you know who it's for, you know what is needed, then it's going to be very hard. So you can think of it like you're trying to solve a problem for whatever kind of audience, so that they can get a certain kind of result. And that's essentially your elevator pitch. So this should be what fuels you and your content. So I have three different methods to generate ideas in terms of like my content ideas. So there's the more manual method, and then there's the AI method. So I'll go through the manual method real quick just for context. I wouldn't stop too long for this one. So the first one, the ready, fire, aim method, which is what I use when I started without AI. So and it's really just like asking myself different questions and then write drafts from there. So imagine you are sitting across the screen and you want to like you have no idea what to write. Then first the first thing you can do is like think about like how would you describe yourself if you are good headlines? How would you describe yourself if you are a bad headlines? Or what's one problem you're trying to solve this week? Or and then how did you solve it? So what's one problem you're trying to solve today? And then how will you solve it? So each of these different questions serves as one single piece of content idea. And actually, like if you're rotating this every day, you have multiple different content ideas. So ideas is really a dime a dozen. So we're gonna just skip through this real quick because I think you can pause the screen. So just different kinds of questions to help you think about like ponder about life and from their content. Okay. Da, 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 da. Okay. So we have like 30 questions there. So you can literally generate like 30 different ideas that you can write about. And if you do that every day, then you have 30 times 30, you have like 900 different content ideas that is very unique every day. So yeah, you can revisit these questions every month to get new sparks. And that is before AI. And then the next method is a little bit more structured, which is what I call the content fuel pillar. So this is something that I learned like 2 to 3 years ago when I first trying to rebuild my brand. So and by then I was clearer of like who I am, what I do, who I serve, what kind of service that I want to sell. So it's not just shooting everywhere. So it's a more systematic approach to content strategy. And yeah, so this is essentially just four micro steps, which is like we want to outline what topics interest you, and then what kind of soft skills do you have, and then what kind of hard skills do you have. So then from there we identify from everything here, we try to identify like what is the top 10, and then we filter down to the top 5, and then ideally we have a top 3. So this top 3 would be your what we call like a content pillar. And for the top 3, come up with at least 10 different questions your target audience might have, and then how you would answer them. So you can think of it like if someone you know, a colleague or friend, or even your father, mother, came to you for advice. What challenges related to these skills could you help them to overcome? And then that's your answer, and that's your content. So the whole point here is that sometimes we get fixated on like we cannot change our content pillar, but I just want to share that throughout the whole journey, I have been I've wore multiple different hats. I've been multiple persona. So I used to be like a ship salvager, mechanical engineer, and then I learned. I come into the internet marketing industry. I learn website design. I build website. I build apps, and then sometimes I call myself internet marketer, and then I call myself funnel designer, and then I call myself software owner, agency owner, marketing consultant. So who we are is really like there's no boundaries to who we can be. And that's why there doesn't have to be a specific boundary to your content pillars. You can change. So the thing that you have to remember is that we just want to move forward. Now, the beautiful part with AI is that we can skip the essential, the first method and the second method, which is a bit more mind consuming. And with AI, we can literally just ask AI and then we can filter from there. So method one and method two is a little bit more personal. So everyone will come up with different answers to those. But obviously, AI doesn't know what's going on with you. So they won't be able to write personal stories without your input. But AI can gives you a lot of relevant topics based on your expertise, regardless of what you're selling or what your service or product is. So, and sometimes insights that you might not even have thought of. And my AI idea generation process is based on Russell Brunson's perfect webinar framework. So, and there's like three components. One is the big domino statement, and then the rest is the three secrets. So, the big domino is essentially like what is the one thing that you believe so much that will help your audience, which is what we talk about, like your why just now, your why. So, and the whole statement goes like this: if I can make people believe that my new opportunity is the key to what they desire the most, whatever that you're selling and whatever the outcome, then and it's only attainable through my specific vehicle or my specific method, then all other objections and concerns become irrelevant and they have to give me money. So for you that you're selling a product or service, you have to have this conviction that whatever that you have, that is your big domino to solve the problem of your target audience. Okay. And but chances are there are still things that prevents the domino to fall. So, and that is what we call the three secrets, the different kind of false beliefs that they have that prevent them from moving forward with you. The belief of the vehicle, and the second one would be the belief to use it themselves, and then the third one would be like the external influence that will stop them from having this success. And you don't have to remember everything that I just talked about. You just have to screenshot and copy this prompt and throw it into my favorite would be Claude. But you can still do the same with GPT or Gemini. And essentially you just have to answer like what is your service? And then the whole prompt will give you 100 different insights based on the Russell Brunson's belief framework. So it gives you different ideas of insights of the objections with the vehicle, with their internal beliefs, and also with the external belief. So, and that's it. That's AI. So the prompt is extremely simple to use. So you literally only need to tell them about your service, your offer, or your product. And if you can include more context to what you do, who is for, why is needed, even better. But otherwise, it will give you a actually pretty solid quick start, okay, or head start. So and now you should at least have 50 to 100 ideas that you can use, because if you just do that process and then you just do the filtration, you'll be able to at least pick a lot of topics that you can generate. And that leads us to the second part, the production. So the first part is about idea. The second part is about how to generate those and turn them into legit content. So before that, without AI, we used to have to like stare at a blank page, or we procrastinate, or we don't even know like what to write or how to write. So again, I generalize them with a simple content framework, which is really just hook, story, offer. So we'll talk about the hook later, but this is pretty much, I mean, in the part two is where we want to generate the story, the content, the meat of the whole piece of content. So typically, your content should be able to educate, entertain, engage, or inspire. But beyond that, your content should aim to elicit a certain emotion, to allow them to feel something. Okay, because ultimately people buy with emotion and then they justify with logic. So if you don't believe me, just think of like the last time you did some extreme sport. Is it emotion or is it logic? High chance it's emotional thing because you want to challenge yourself or just feel excitement or whatsoever. And this is what I grabbed from Shan Puri, the core emotions that you can attempt for your content. So the first one is like funny, make it funny. The end of it, they think your content is funny, or WTF, that pisses me off, or that's so cute, or that's amazing, or that's crazy, or like now I get it, kind of mind blowing feeling. And then that's how I feel, which is basically just gets acknowledgement, or that's great news. So there are different kinds of emotions that you can put into your content. Just pick one. But if your content can elicit one of these 8 emotions, chances are your content is in a good way, good start. And if they feel it, they will react. So, and if they feel it and they want others to know, they share. So, and one of the fundamental belief that I have is like the reason why people, including me, whenever we share something on social media, is because they want people to know something about them. So I want people to know about my service. That's why I do that. And so, if you want to encourage your content to be shared, then you have to understand that, and you have to make it about them so that they are willing to share to other to get alignment and share that same feeling. So when you're writing, when you're doing this whole process, think about like, what do you want the reader to feel or react? Okay. Some simple rules with online content nowadays is it has to be simple English, usually just grade 5. So simple that grade 5 can understand. Break long sentences into consumable lines, and you can write short, punchy paragraphs, or that depends on your style. It has to usually be conversational, not too formal. Okay, and then directly address the reader as like you. Okay, so this is just really simple rules that I usually plug into the prompts. Types of contents. So we talk about like different ideas, but now let's take those ideas and let's really flesh them out. So there's different types of content, and this is just some from Justin Welsh. So we can compare two things, X versus Y, or like funnel versus website. Why funnel is not working? Why website is not working anymore? Stuff like that. Listicle. So like 5 best way or how to do this in 9 steps. Observation, motivational, actionable, analytical, contrarian, present versus future, and personally, I love listicle, and I love to make the listicle actionable because chances are like when you put things into listicle way, it feels actionable. So that's my favorite. But you can figure out like what's your favorite, and you can try. So what I do 90% of the time is I share my insights, or I share like listicles, and sometimes I plug in like stories about my life, and then feel or like lesson that I can grab from that. Very rarely I share contrarian because I don't want to play that card to be very political. But yeah. So what to make more money online? Think like a fish. So this is more like a insights and a little bit of metaphor. 9 critical landing page elements to make a lot of money. So this is obviously listicle. So content writing method number 1. So this is the pre-AI way, which is read, curate, swipe. So writing is something that honestly you just get better the more you write. So but the step 1 is you have to read a lot, because only when you read a lot, you know what inspires you, what educates you, what makes you want to share, what you like. And then that's how you can get the rhythm, and that's how you can know like what we call curate or swipe. Okay, so curate is really like just compiling all these um contents that you like so that you can refer and model after. Okay. And then the final step is like really templatize and then swipe. So this is literally the easiest way to get started if you are very new in the content world. So for example, like Justin, he wrote about like I paid a guy $130 to move a treadmill in 30 minutes, blah 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 blah. So you can templatize it into like I paid someone X amount of money to do something in time it took. So um, before AI, we have to templatize manually. With AI, you can literally just throw this whole piece into whatever AI that you use and ask the AI to templatize for you. That works as well. It's okay. So after templatizing, then you can plug in into like what you want, like for example what you sell, so you can fill in the blank per se. So I paid a freelancer $500 to set up a Facebook ad campaign in 4 hours. So we compare is essentially we are modeling the way he write, but we're changing the content and context, and now suddenly it becomes ours. Okay, so this is how I also swipe and model something from someone, and then I just plug it into my own context and what I sell. Okay, so that's the manual way. The easier way is with AI, which is like the context is that you still need to read in order to differentiate what's good and what's bad. Because if you jump into AI and you just ask AI to write and you don't use your brain, you don't read, you don't analyze, then chances are you won't even know whether the thing that you have just produced is good or bad. Okay. So, like I said, instead of spending the time to templatize manually on your own, you can ask AI to do that for you instead. So, first, we have to still curate our data set, okay? Because that's the key to making AI write better, which is curate. So you have to curate like what's good, what you think is good. Ideally, it's your content, but the quicker tips and tricks is like you can find an author or creator whose style of writing is something that you like a lot or your audience love, and you can actually model after that. You can curate their work and then turn it into PDF and then upload that PDF as your data set. So personally, I use Claude 90% of the time to write content. So, but recently, like GPT and Gemini is also pretty good. So you can actually try that. So we pick the tool, we upload the PDF, and then you just use this prompt, which is I am Jackson. And then this document represents a compilation of posts whose style of writing I want you to mimic. So that whenever I ask you to write a content for me, you will use these writing techniques, but with the premise of the content that I'll provide, blah, blah, blah. So proceed to write for me a post I can use to post on the platform based on the following topic. Okay, remember to use the writing techniques you learn from the data set, and then you just plug in the topic that you get from part one into here. And it will give you a pretty good draft most of the time. And here's the trick. Instead of doing one by one, you want to just bulk produce. So one of the most frustrating things about writing with AI is that there are limits to how much you can process with a time window. And depending on when you are watching this, the limit might not be the same. Okay, but in the early days when I was still refining the process, I hit the windows a lot and I had to wait until like 4 hours before I can use it again. So if the first output looks okay to you, then just proceed to do the next one so you can produce a lot of content in a single batch. So you can produce like literally few weeks worth of content with just within just 1 or 2 days. And that is step two. So and for me, I literally just draft my content. I do maybe a little bit of refination and then I slap on the cover and upload to LinkedIn, and that works for me. Okay. So how about story? Story is a bit more unique, right? So in this case, it's essentially the same thing, but then I tell it to write a story instead of generating a listicle for me. So, and similarly, you analyze the writing style of the document that I uploaded. Then I'm going to give you something that's going on with my life, so you can have the creative angle and write good insight post for me. So I want to post on my Facebook just as a life story. So I went to Japan, and then I have some like stories with my daughter. I brought my daughter to Japan for the first time. So, and the long story short is like it wasn't as scary as I thought. And this is literally the single line that I give to Claude, and it generated a whole long piece for me. I trim and I just pick the essential part that I want to post, and I post it, and it went pretty okay on my profile. So, and that's it. That's how we can use like AI to write even stories for us. If you're a bad writer like me, or like the insights, the listicle, all those kind of shebang. Now that's part two. Now part three is the last part. So part three, well, the first draft of anything is shit, and you'll realize that even with AI, because AI is very general, right? It cannot make you. It cannot. It doesn't really understand you, your background. So at best, it's writing more like a how-to. But now in part three, you want to turn that content into how I. So some stuff that you can feed to AI to make the content even better is like your stories, like we just showed, or your own results or your own case studies and actual names. So adding this into AI will make the content feels more real, because honestly, there is a lot of AI contents out there compared to even 2 years ago. It's it's a lot. Like I don't want to use the bad word, but yeah, some is just bad because everyone is just producing and don't want to use their time or brain and effort to make it even a little bit better and different than normal people, than most people. So again, all profit content must adhere to the framework, which is hook, story, offer. We have the story. Now we just want to make it a little bit better in the third step. But beyond that is the hook, because the hook is, for example, the title of your carousel or the first 1 to 2 line within your content. And that, in Pareto principle, is the most important thing, is the 80% most important thing of your content. Email, content, landing page, everything online, the hook is the key, because without a good hook, you wouldn't get people to want to continue to read or watch or click. So in the world of endless scrolling, your opening hook can really make a difference between a reader stopping to engage or just ignore. So therefore, your hook is the most important thing in everything you do online, regardless of how good your content or story is. You have to nail down the hook. So this is something I learned from Jasmine, which is one of the pretty much top LinkedIn influencer, and he has this thing called the rehook. So hook and rehook. So the hook is, for example, the first strong sentence, and the rehook just re-emphasize on the first statement of like why people should continue reading. So some of my best hooks, just to give context and example. So ChatGPT is a free copywriter. This is a pretty good hook at, at the time of posting, but 97% still don't know how to use it. This is a rehook. So we basically split them into 2 sentences. And this is literally the first thing that people see on LinkedIn. And if they don't want to read this, then they will skim past it. But if they do, then they will click and then they will read more. So this single hook and my content gets me 100,000 of impressions. And that's, I think, just within less than a week. Okay, over 200,000 fonts exist in the world, yet some people has always managed to find their ways to bad ones. This one is close to 100,000, and the first line again is the hook. The second line is the rehook. Copywriting is a superpower. Learn it, and you can sell anything online. So you can see why this is a rehook, because anyone wants to learn how to sell anything online. Okay, most people know about 6 thinking hats, but have you heard of the 6 copywriting hats? Okay, and yeah, so many. Facts tell, story sells, but no one knows storytelling better than Pixar. So again, we give them a reason to keep reading. And then here's 22 rules, blah blah blah. And this piece of content is also 60,000 impressions. Your ideas are worthless. Your execution is this is just a little bit contrarian. Okay. Yeah. So more hooks from other people. And one thing that I love when when I look at online content, when I spend my time on social media, is really looking at what other people is writing, because their content can be the same, and similar, but different hooks can really have different results. And which is why I love to study like different hooks from different content creators, writers, influencers, agency owners, whatsoever. So I like to study what works. So reading hooks can also, to me, spark new content idea. So you can take that hook and use the part two process to generate a new content for you. So think along the line of like, how can you summarize your content in a single sentence? And how can you create that curiosity gap or make a surprising statement? So because these are all the key elements to making the hook a hook. Okay. And last but not least, the offer. So all your content should have what we call a call to action to an offer. So it could just be follow me, but if you have like a lead magnet, or if you have a service, you want to do some audit, then make sure that your content actually calls out to this one. So DM me for whatever, whatever, click for whatever. So I actually use this same trick on all my carousels, and I actually like brought in 100 different workshop attendees, just like that. So, and just through like a simple offer at the end of my content. So, and the prompt to like refine is literally this. So here's when they generated the first draft, just add your story and then just ask it to rewrite. Okay, so here's my story. Can you rewrite the above? Then it will just refine what we call the how-to content into something more like a how I. Okay, and if you realize like the copy, the writing from the AI, the production isn't that good, or like you would have written it a different way, then just train the AI to do the same. So here's how I would have written this. Analyze the changes I made and apply the nuances to all your future outputs. So this is how we train the AI so that it can write me better content moving forward. Okay. And so this is the full prompt for the entire like the training. So the structure of how to hook and rehook, and then some of the rules that I used, so that the content when they generate for me is pretty much 80% ready to go. And sometimes I add my own substance, sometimes I don't. Okay. In a nutshell, your action plan is really just ideate as much as you can, produce as much as you can, and then refine, and then just publish. So the speed of your production is depending on the content format that you chose. Obviously, if you chose to just post it as a text form and slap on an image, that's the fastest way. If you choose to do like short videos, it will take a little bit more time because there's like either filming or editing. Or if you chose to turn it into a carousel like mine, there's obviously still going to take extra editing compared to like just posting it as a text. So pick your own favorite style. For me, I chose carousel because my unfair advantage is my eyes of design, my sense of design, and what I think would capture the attention is also the graphic. So that's why I love carousel, because I can leverage what I'm good at and to share my insights. And ultimately, of course, for me at that time is to get clients. So if my design caught their attention, then the perceived value, for me at least, is that they already know I'm good with design, and that helps with my own positioning. But if you, let's say you are doing video editing or you're doing some other services, then you can pick your own content format. And that's pretty much it. So at the end of it, I'm not sure if Navid would want to share with you some of the bonus, but here's
Yeah.
bonus from my side.
No, let's do that. I can link up some resources, but I had some questions. I mean, you mentioned carousels a lot for LinkedIn. I mean, that's obviously blowing up quite a lot from different people, and I've seen yours. They are very striking. I mean, you have a design skill. Do you use any AI in this, or what kind of tools do you use to create your carousels? And what's your process to kind of put the text or what goes on each slide, basically on each. I mean, for LinkedIn, I guess it's like a PDF you upload, I think. So,
Yeah. So for LinkedIn, the carousel style is it has to be exported into a PDF. So personally, I use Figma, and then I know some other creators they would just use Canva. Um, to me, they are all just different tools. So like Canva, there is an AI assisted feature that can help you to produce a lot of carousels together as well. But for me, I have um, my pet peeve of wanting something to look and customize, which is why I spend a little bit more time on the cover. But here's a fun thing and I'm glad you asked. Um, I used to think that carousel it has to be super nice for the whole slides. And that's if you look at the early carousels that are produced, they each of the slides are very polished. And then towards the end, like I said, I'm a very lazy person. So a lazy person is not dumb, it's just lazy. And we think of like, how can I shortcut that? Like, is there a way that I can do things better and faster? So then I started to produce content, a carousel, and I really just make the cover looks nicer. So each of the cover is obviously different. So depending on the topic they all have the same font style, the brand style. You can tell it's my carousel style. The graphic, I would change it, but the rest of the slides are all just plain white with just text. So, and I realize it doesn't make too much of a difference if your content is already good. So your carousel cover definitely have to capture the attention and be sexy enough to make you different. But the rest of it is really you can just let it be white background and text, and it still works. So that's a little bit of like tips and tricks in terms of carousels. Don't get so fixated about the designs of every other slides because yeah, the hook still matters.
yeah, no, I've seen that actually for carousels, like the intro slide or the cover basically is kind of the most important, and then you can have pretty simple ones as long as the content is good and convey the message you want to share basically. And I think that's great. But do you use any AI in terms of coming up with goals on each slide? Like, do you use the same process? Like you take like templates. You mentioned a lot of templates from like Justin Welsh and other creators on LinkedIn, for example. Do you do that to kind of have the flow, what goes into it? Is there any best practices that you follow for kind of the content on each slide?
So we want to make sure like each slide is easily readable. So depending on the length of your content, so if it's very, very long, then I obviously would break it into different chunks. So and ideally I think if I were to give it a formula, each slide shouldn't have more than 200 words because that's pretty much like a short form thing. So I just break it with um a little bit of my intuition back then. So now with AI it's very easy. Just add one more line which is like help me break it into easily readable slides, chunks. Then you can pass this to your assistant. You can plug this into whatever AI tool like Canva, and then it will just easily help you to put each chunk into separate slides, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, when I first started, like AI and Carousel isn't that advanced yet, but right now I think there's way more tools that can help to assist with that.
Yeah, no, I created like a Claude project. So I basically I
Mm.
created first a prompt because I used it for a while to kind of tweak it. And now I mean it's pretty good. So I basically created a Claude project and I tested it recently. I just basically uploaded some of in Donnelly, I think is pretty good. The Carousels, Matt Gray, I mean Justin Welsh,
Yeah.
other creators on the platform. I just wanted to test it. It actually did really good job on Claude to just basically spit it out based on kind of what I wrote in the intro in the instructions for the project, and it basically did it in basically one shot. Maybe I would have to add some details, but I basically
Yeah.
took a blog post from my site, maybe my 52 life lessons or something like that, and he did a great job to actually put it on each slide and creating it with the correct hook and stuff like that. So AI can definitely help quite a lot. But as we wrap this one up, do you have any final words to everyone, like to get started with what you shared during this kind of presentation here today?
I think in retrospect, my biggest mistake is that I think too much before I post. And it's still the same pre AI and post AI. So even with AI, I think a lot because I care about my brand. But in retrospect, I want to just share that it's irrelevant. This is all just internal fear of putting ourselves out there because ideally, I mean, like people don't care about you or me; they care about themselves. So, and what you share is just a reflection of what you feel. And I think the biggest mistake, if I can fix myself or other, or like in retrospect, is really just consistently share. So if the method of the content format that you choose is a bit hard, then just go with something simpler. Just post a text or whatsoever. And apparently, like text form content is picking up in some platforms. So I don't know why, but I think that's the fun part about staying in the game, because like people's behavior will never stay the same. So Carousel was very popular when Instagram started it. Then LinkedIn caught up maybe 2 3 years later, and then video is now like one of the favorite. But again, Carousel will always have its place. It's still very 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 popular on Instagram and LinkedIn because it's one of the rarest medium form content. And the way I like Carousel is because it actually promotes micro interaction. So people actually has to swipe, and that actually tells the algorithm, whatever platform it is, that they like your content. And so, and also it allows me to consume content in my own pace versus video. I have to actually spend time watching it and to finish it. But for Carousel, I can quit halfway or I can swipe very fast. So, and I think a lot of people like that, and which is why Carousel is here to stay. But yeah, I mean, like again, if just one word, I think just keep producing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think with carousels as well on LinkedIn, you can even download it. It's kind of like a mini lead magnet in a way because
Yes.
it's what it is. I mean, you can have a quite a lot of content on, let's say, 10 to 20 slides, and it can be really really valuable. Pretty much like a mini lead magnet or a pretty valuable lead magnet that you can consume pretty quickly. So I think that's why they are here to stay, and it's a great content medium. And you can also, I see some people actually taking a lot of their carousels and they are actually bundling them, and then people can download them, so you can actually offer them then as a lead magnet, as for an email opt-in as well. So lots of stuff you can do with this. But Jackson, this has been super valuable. Where can people connect more with you? Where would you like people to go check you out?
I'm on Instagram more nowadays, and some LinkedIn. But yeah, definitely follow me on Instagram to stay connected with my life. And I'm going to start putting out more like video content as well because yeah, I like to experiment things. So the reason why I chose Carousel is because I felt like I don't have to show my face a lot. But now I'm ready to show my face, which is why I'm going to put out more video content. I'm going to start with Instagram, and then subsequently maybe like YouTube. So step by step. But yeah, Instagram, the Jackson U.
Awesome. We will link up all the resources we talked about. And if you have any questions or comments, drop them below here and we'll check in, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Ciao for now. Bye.